Hey everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am back with another fun card today. This card is featuring the Penguin Plunge stamp set from Dare to Be Artsy, and I am starting out my card. I have already off camera die cut the Slimline Snowflakes die from some watercolor cardstock, and I also cut the what is it called here? It is called the Slimline Land and Cloud Borders. So I'm using the cloud border, and I just die cut that from a piece of scrap paper. And I have a piece of light blue cardstock here, and I am just ink blending on some shaded lilac Distress Oxide ink using that cloud border die, and it's basically the same thing you would get with a cloud stencil, so it works perfectly. And I can actually reuse this piece again later, my scrap piece, for something else, or I can use it for a card or something. I really love the look of the shaded lilac on the light blue cardstock. I just think it gives like the perfect sky color. I thought about adding some white pigment ink to it, but then I ultimately ended up not doing that. I decided that I liked this once I was done with it. So I'm just basically moving and kind of putting the clouds at an angle and just getting some different looks from it. And so blending it on a little bit differently, just to get some different looks, just like you would do with a regular cloud stencil. And I did blend a little bit heavier towards that top right edge, and then it gets lighter as I get to the bottom. So, and I kind of did that on purpose, and you'll see why later. And this was pretty quick and easy to do. I didn't measure my cardstock, but it's roughly a mini slimline size. So I guess that's what, 3 1/4 by 6. I'm just going to blend that all the way down to the bottom. I really didn't need to blend all the way down to the bottom, but like I said, it's lighter towards the bottom and a little bit darker and heavier clouds towards the top. And that was kind of what I was going for, because I'm wanting to create sort of a stormy sky. And I think this worked perfectly. So once I get done with that, then I just go ahead and finish out the bottom with a little bit of shading towards the bottom. And I'm just checking that against my snowflakes to see how that's going to look, and making sure I didn't miss any areas with my blending. So I will clean up my mess here, and then I have my, this is the Slimline Snowflake die is a full slimline size, so I was actually happy to find out that I could cut it down and not lose too much of the die, so it actually worked really well with my slimline. My mini slimline, so I have just that little piece left over. So next I'm going to take this, since it is, I used watercolor paper on purpose, and originally I was going to use watercolor pencils on it, and you can see I actually started that little blue area, and ultimately I decided that I didn't think that they were going to work very well with this particular brand of watercolor paper that I was using. It didn't have enough tooth for the pencils. So I didn't want to recut the whole panel. I decided to just go with it, and so I broke out my distress inks and decided to do a little ink smooshing. So I'm putting down, I believe this is Blueprint Sketch, and I just smushed some of that onto my glass media mat, and then I used some of the water from my water brush to just add a small amount of water to it. You really don't need to add much when you're doing ink smooshing unless you want to get more of a watered down look. I wanted my colors to be really vibrant and bright, and so adding just a small amount of water actually works in my favor for that. And I'm trying to keep those colors to the top portion, the more solid portion of this die cut piece. So I'm trying to be careful and not get the white snowflakes at the bottom colored. And now I'm going to use a little bit of wilted violet. Again, I'm just adding a little bit of water to that, smushing it onto my glass media mat. And then I'm going to go ahead and dip that snowflake border into that lovely wilted violet ink. It's actually my favorite color, the purple. So, and the blueprint sketch was very, very bright. It's still, you can still see the wilted violet, but it's a little bit more muted, I think, than it would normally be. And I decided that I thought these colors were pretty close to what my background was in terms of what I had brushed onto that background piece. So I'll bring in another color here in a minute. And I believe that is, what am I using? Seedless Preserves? Yes. So I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of Seedless Preserves. And this is going to be a little bit different shade of purple, more of a reddish color purple. It kind of reminds me of grape juice. It kind of has the same color as grape juice, and I decided I had a little bit too much water on that. So I blotted up some of that with a baby wipe. And now I'm just picking up some more of that ink until I'm happy with it. Just grabbing a little bit more in a couple areas. And then I'm going to clean up my mess. And I will set this aside to dry. I believe, even if I do this now, I think I do it now, is I added a little bit of water while I use my tonic shimmer pen, and then what I did was I tried to pull down some of that color from the top into the top portion of the snowflakes. So they're sort of a light pastel color at the very top of the snowflakes. They turned out kind of a I guess like a purpley or like a light lavender, light pink color. And I'm just using the aqua shimmer pen because it's water based to pull those colors down a little bit so that they're a little bit more muted, but then the snowflakes will also have a shimmer to them, which makes them really, really pretty. And I'm going to smudge on a tiny bit of purple, and I'm just going to add some of my shimmer pen to that, and just doing a very light purple at the top there, just to sort of make it look like the stormy sky is sort of melting down into the snowflakes and giving them a little bit of color and a little bit of shimmer, because you can never have too much shimmer. I'm adding a little bit more. I kind of ran out. I didn't get quite enough color the first time, so to get these the snowflakes on the far right. And it's hard to tell from this because I didn't get it zoomed in, but it is a light purple, and you can see it in the photos. I love the aqua shimmer pen, and I love mixing it with the distress inks and anything that's water based. It works really well. Instead of using a water brush pen, to use your aqua shimmer pen, especially if you're wanting to add sparkle to something, it works really well in place of a water brush pen. And a little side note, you can take these apart when you're getting low. You can actually take the pen apart and add a little bit of water to it to refill it and get the last of the shimmery ink out of there too. Just something to note for futures in case you have one of these pens and it's running out of your ink. And I'm just comparing to how it's going to look on my background. I'm going to set that aside to dry, and then I'm going to, I believe, break out my stamps. This is the Penguin Plunge stamp set. I am stamping the little ice flow, I guess that's what you call that, the penguin with a scarf because he's so cute, and then I'm also stamping the large package. And this is going to be more of a Christmas themed card, but not a traditional Christmas card, obviously, with the colors I've chosen. So I'm going to stamp those with some Dare to Be Artsy black ink. And I am stamping that onto Neenah 110 pound cardstock. And they stamped pretty well. I'm just going to darken up the penguin a little bit. And then I will go ahead and color these up. I did list the Copic markers that I used on screen, so you will see those. And I'll go ahead and color these up, and I'll let you watch that and put on a little bit of music, and I'll pop back in when we're finished. Okay, so we're back. I did get zoomed in a little bit there for the end of the coloring just so you could see it up close. But yeah, thanks technology and my brain, I did not remember to zoom out. So this next section is all very up close and personal, but you can see the card up close that way. Right now I am, let's see, I think I am just looking at the border, yes, for the bottom. I just cut this from some really light sort of blue-green cardstock, and I did use the, this is the Wavy Slimline border die from Dare to Be Artsy, and I cut just a sliver of paper because I didn't want, it's going to make up the waves, and I didn't want it to be super wide. So I glued it at the very bottom of the panel, and then I end up trimming off the bottom section that's hanging over because I glued it at the very tip top. And then I'm going to go ahead and put my little ice flow on there, and I am adding him with some liquid glue here in a minute, just getting my placement right. And then trying to figure out, I had originally thought I was going to pop the penguin up with some dimensional foam, but I ultimately decided not to do that. And then I'm going to stamp my sentiment, and this sentiment reads, "Have a cool Yule." I thought that was kind of fun for a penguin Christmas card. And again, a very non-traditional Christmas card. So I have added a little bit of liquid glue to the penguin and to the little ice flow. And I'm sticking my stamping block on it for a minute. I left it on there for a little while, but with the magic of editing, it looks like it was just a second. So now I'm going to add some dimensional foam to my little package, and I'm going to put that in front of the penguin a little bit, and it's popped up. And then I'm going to, I believe I'm going to add some sequins to this. And you can see now up close kind of how the lavender color at the top of the snowflakes. Oh, here I am actually stamping my sentiment. So stamp the sentiment with some embossing ink, and I am going to sprinkle on some Burgess Monroe Nightshade Blue embossing powder, and I will heat set that off camera. And the Nightshade Blue has a nice color shift to it, so it looks sort of black, but when you look at it in the light, it's very blue. And it worked well with my sort of theme. I'm brushing away the stray embossing powder. And now I have some iridescent sequins that are snowflakes. I'm going to go ahead and put those all over my card front. And I did add 2 of the snowflakes that cut from the Slimline Snowflakes die. That die set actually has several snowflakes that cut with it, but I used the ones that are sort of retro looking, and I popped those up at the top just to add a little bit of white up there to kind of bring the white from the snowflakes from the bottom up. And then I'm going to just glue those iridescent snowflakes down, and I am using my Barely Arts liquid glue, which I love, and it works so well. It has, the precision tip is perfect for gluing down sequins and really small things. And I went a little crazy with the sequins. I normally don't add quite that many. And then because I wasn't quite done, I end up adding some gems, you'll see that here in a minute, to the center of the larger snowflakes, and then the 2 small white snowflakes at the top as well. And I was kind of testing out what I wanted to do. I tried a few different, because the snowflakes were a bunch of different colors, and I was trying to get the right combination of colors across the card. So. And then here I'm just adding some blue gems to the center of those snowflakes. And I will add some liquid glue to those. And that's going to wrap up today's card. I hope you've enjoyed it. Please like and subscribe to get all of my content. I have linked all of the products I've used for today's card in the description box below. Thanks again for joining me, and have a great day.